The first part of the 20th century was a watershed for the Seventh-day Adventist Church in worldwide mission. In 1902, Pastor A.G. Daniels accepted the presidency of the General Conference with a burning desire to lead the mission work of the church. Largely through his vision, Adventists opened up work in many new countries and sent out hundreds of missionaries in the early years of the 20th century. His name heads the list of 41 charter members of the Tacoma Park Seventh-day Adventist Church in 1904. 100 years later, the Great Commission remains the lifeblood of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. It's still the church's compass. It's still the church's mission. Go ye into all the world. In 1874, Pastor J.N. Andrews became the church's first overseas missionary. Within 30 years, the Adventist message had gone to more than 70 countries. Within 100 years, it had gone to 155. It took 92 years for the Seventh-day Adventist Church to reach 500,000. Today, it takes fewer than 9 months for the church to grow by 500,000. In 1990, church leaders assessed growth around the world. They noted vast areas still untouched by the Seventh-day Adventist Church. In response, they established Global Mission with one task: to specifically focus on those areas with scarcely a Christian, let alone an Adventist Christian. With the fall of communism, the church grew rapidly in the former Soviet Union. But in China, church growth has been even higher, the fastest church growth of anywhere in the world. It's estimated that in 1990 there were just over 108,000 members. Today, that number has tripled, with nearly 3,000 churches and companies. The church has grown rapidly in India. In 1990, there were no Adventist churches, members, or ministers in Mongolia. Today, there is an established church, 19 companies, and 531 members. In 1990, there were no Adventist churches or members in Cambodia. Today, there are 23 churches and companies, and nearly 5,000 members. In Muslim territories, thousands have accepted the Adventist hope. The church in countries such as Myanmar and Indonesia has grown in strength. Growth in Africa, particularly the southern part of the continent, has been spectacular. But even in more difficult areas, growth has been strong. In 1990, there were just over 500 church members in the North Central African country of Chad. Today, there are nearly 3,000. Since Global Mission began in 1990, the church has more than doubled. New areas have been entered. The church now has established work in 203 of the 228 countries of the world. Every day, 7 new congregations are established, and nearly 3,000 people join the church. The church now operates nearly 6,000 schools, attended by more than 1 million students. There are nearly 600 Adventist hospitals, sanitariums, clinics, and dispensaries around the world. The church operates 8 media centers, an international satellite television ministry, and a global radio network. It's hard to imagine the growth from small beginnings in Northeast America to a worldwide church of 14 million. Who could have thought the Adventist Church would become a household name throughout the Pacific Islands? Who could have ever dreamt of its strength in North America? Who could have imagined its growth in South and Central America? Who could have envisioned the thousands of Adventist churches throughout Africa and Asia? Who could have hoped for breakthroughs in Eastern Europe? But we're still here. Jesus has not returned. Major parts of the world remain virtually untouched by the good news. Many areas remain that we still haven't discovered how to enter. Many Adventists have lost sight of a world in need, and mission offerings are in decline. Today, we need a fresh and larger vision for the needs of the world. Once again, we need to move outside our comfort zones. We must recover the energy and vision of the pioneers and find new and fresh ways to reach the unreached with hope.
Lord, open up our eyes. Let there be no disguise of the pain we see. Lord, open up our hearts to not ignore the cries of the world in need, and open up our ears so we can hear your call to share the hope you freely gave, and open up the path so we will have no fear as we go out to reach the world you long to save.
Lord, open up our eyes, let there be no disguise of the pain we see. Lord, open up our hearts to not ignore the cries of a world in need, and open up our ears so we can hear your call to share the hope you freely gave, and open up the path so we will have no fear as we go out to reach